going to use a bolster, 2 blocks, and I have 2 blankets right here. You probably only need 1, but sometimes a blanket is a nicer choice than a bolster. Also, a pillow can function really great as a really great option. So grab yourself a couple of things to support you. We're going to be on the ground the whole time. It's going to be really, really restorative, really gentle. So just take a couple minutes to get what you need and get settled in. Perfect. Good. Excellent. And so I'll let you all get settled in, and then as you get into position, you can mute yourself in the bottom left corner. So that will just help so that you can hear me better and there's no feedback. But if any time you feel like you need to ask a question or something doesn't feel right, feel free to turn your speaker on to ask me a question. I'm more than happy to help you find the most comfortable expression of the postures as we go through the class. Yeah, great. So let me get going a little bit. I'm gonna just come back onto my mat a little. Like I said, I have here a variety of props. I have here a bolster, I have 2 blocks, and I have a blanket, as well as a pillow. So we're gonna begin in sitting. So I would suggest taking a bolster, a meditation cushion, a pillow or a blanket, and propping your hips up on it. So I'm gonna move my bolster out of the way for now. And I have my hips just sitting up so that my knees can drop below the level of the hips. So when my knees drop below the level of the hips, it just allows me to be a little bit more rested and at ease. Hi, Beta, welcome.
Hi. Hi.
We're just getting started. So just find a comfortable seat. Let your knees drop below the hips. Let your hands rest on the thighs.
Cushion.
Beta, if you just want to mute yourself. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's no problem. We love hearing the baby, but. And so take your hands just to rest palm down on your thighs. And then just close your eyes. Yin is an internal practice. So as we go through this practice the next 45 or 50 minutes, it's going to be an internal observation, an internal inquiry and self-observation. So the eyes can remain closed. And we're not going to be doing a ujjayi type breath. It's just going to be a gentle breath. So as you come, shift your awareness to the breath, just feeling the tidal rise and fall. Feeling what it's like to be alive in your body right now. Let go of any efforting or striving. And arrive just as you are. And then ask yourself, what do I need right now in my body? How can you make yourself 5 or 10% more at ease? Arriving into the felt sense of the hips sitting on the floor, of the knees touching the earth, of the hands resting on the thighs, and then the flow of the breath, just in and out. And if the mind starts to wander about what might be coming next, or what you've come from, Just come back to the felt sense of the breath in the body, rising and falling. Our breath can only be in the present moment. So as you get swept away, the breath is the tether to pull us back without judging. Just come back to the breath and begin again. And then bring your hands to the heart and bow the head gently, moving your awareness down to the heart center to set an intention for your practice. Remembering why you're here, what caused you to show up, and what you need in your body right now. And then let go of that intention. Let the eyes flutter open. And we're going to come directly into our first posture from here by just uncrossing the legs and bringing the feet out in front of you. I would suggest keeping the hips elevated on whatever cushion they're in. And then the knees are going to be at 90 degrees. We're going to come into a butterfly or cobbler's pose, but this yin variation is a little bit different. So you're not going to tuck the feet in tight. You're going to let them come out. So as if you were to fold forward, the nose would come to about the arch of the foot. And then very gently, let the hands rest towards the thighs. Just bow your head down, look towards the feet. And then like a slow cascading waterfall, let gravity start to pull the spine forward. Without forcing or striving, start to let the spine roll forward. Sending the breath into the back of the body. Allow gravity to start to bring you a little bit deeper with each exhale into the posture. So as we enter into yin poses, it's not through efforting or striving or working, but through allowing. Find that first barrier of movement and stay there. And breathe into the sensation of the body. Meeting yourself just where you are. And you may notice that as you start to breathe there, that barrier starts to move a little bit. So allow the body to move with it. And then once you've arrived, find stillness. The next part of the yin pose is making it sustainable. So we'll hold this for about 4 minutes. And keep your awareness into the sensations or the felt sense of the body. Feeling where the hips touch the support. Maybe feeling the opening in the groin and the inner thighs. Feeling the lengthening along the back body. Here we're opening the urinary bladder and kidney meridians. If you'd like to add a little bit of self-acupuncture, you don't have to look up, but just take your thumbs right to the bottoms of your feet, just inside, so towards the middle of your foot, of the big toe. Right along the broadest part of the foot, just towards the middle of the big toe. And you'll find a little peak there, a little depression that the thumb will just sink right into. And just let the thumbs rest there. And then send your awareness and your breath right to that spot at the bottom of the feet. And from that place in the bottom of the feet, feel the breath ascend up the back body, all the way up the spine, over the crown of the head, and then feel the exhale flow out of the nostrils. Take 5 more breaths in that way, feeling the inhale begin at the soles of the feet. Rise up the back of the spine, feeling the back body expand. And then feel the exhale terminate out the nose, letting the head become a little bit more heavy. Take 2 more full letting go breaths in this way. Letting go of the outside world. Turning the awareness and the attention inward. And then when the next inhale starts to come, press into the hands. Keep the head heavy. Let the hands begin to slowly bring you back up to sitting. And then take your hands to the outside of your knees. Use your hands to draw the knees together. And then use your intuition, that sense of internal teacher, to help you decide where to go. Maybe you hug, or maybe you let the knees rock side to side. Either is good. There's no right. This is about listening to, observing, and responding to the sensations of the body. Letting them be our guide and be our teacher so that we can move into a more internal experience of what the body needs right now. So from here, we just worked on flexion, opening the back of the body. Now let's open the front seam of the body. So remove the props from your mat. And then turn onto your belly, going the long way along your mat. And once you arrive here, prop up onto the forearms. And here you are. Take the elbows right underneath the shoulders. And then let the hips and let the front body relax into the floor. This is a really important posture for maintaining the health of the spine. This may be difficult for arthritis. This also may be difficult, but incredibly essential for anyone recovering from a low back or disc injury. If this posture is at all too difficult or too much for you, a blanket or pillow underneath the pelvis can decrease the intensity of this posture. So meet yourself right where you are. Feel the breath swell into the low back where the back and the pelvis meet. If you tend to have a lot of mobility, you may activate the legs by pressing the tops of the feet into the floor, and just gently engaging the inner thighs towards one another if you're feeling any ache or pain in the low back. Otherwise, you can relax towards the floor. And if this feels good, and you feel like you've eased into the sensation, slowly allow yourself to push up towards your hands, moving slowly into seal, what we call seal, or in physical therapy, what we call a press-up. And again, if you tend to be hypermobile, just gently engage the inner thighs and maybe press the tops of the feet to the floor so it stays very active. Or if you're having any pain, otherwise try to soften through the buttocks, soften through the front of the pelvis. Allow the head and neck to be relaxed. The hands are like a tripod. And then come back to the internal senses, sensations of the body, the movements of the breath. Feeling the inhale swell in the low back, and the exhale press the pelvis a little bit more into the earth. And ask yourself, how can I give myself exactly what I need in this moment? How can I make myself 10% more comfortable? How can I let go of any efforting or struggle or striving and just allow myself to be in the experience of the felt sense in the body? Take 3 more breaths here. And then when you are ready, slowly lower back to the elbows first. And then all the way to the belly, letting the head rest on the hands, and maybe it turns to one side. And as you arrive here on your belly, just pause. Notice the sensations. You may feel a throbbing, an aching, even maybe a momentary radiating sensation through the low back, maybe up the spine or down the legs. In yin, we call that rebounding. And so pause and notice that sensation until it subsides. Maybe a gentle rocking back and forth of the pelvis will help re-equilibrate the tissues of the low back. And once you've settled, take the hands underneath the shoulders, engage the low belly, press up and back, first to child's pose, and then just sit on the heels for a moment. Because I want to give you one option for the next posture. Here, we're going to come into a wide leg child's pose. And in this wide leg child's pose, your knees might be off the edges of the mat. So if you do have a blanket, having a little cushion wider than the mat to support the knees is really nice. And so kneel on the mat, on the blanket, and then bring the knees as wide as they go. And then sit back into your heels, coming into your widest possible child's pose. Beautiful. And then let the trunk fall forward. And send the breath all the way up into the pelvis. Keep the arms reach out in front of you, reaching long through the spine here. Beautiful. But keep the hips pulling back onto the heels. Yes. So we just worked into the flexion extension, the forward and backward movement of the spine. So we have 2 more planes of movement that we're going to address with this child's pose position. So press into the hands just ever so slightly to lift the torso from the ground so that you can walk your hands off the mat all the way to the right. Walk them as far as you can go, and then even walk a little further so that the trunk rests over the right knee. And then pause there. Take about 5 breaths in there. Feel the length from the left hip all the way to the left fingertips. With each inhale, expand the side body, that space on the side of the heart and the side of the shoulder, all the way out through the fingertips. Keep the awareness in the breath. Feel the expansion in the side rib cage. Breathing into the lungs, clearing the lungs here, creating spaciousness. For those beautiful breathing muscles. Maybe take 2 or 3 more breaths, this time as you exhale, breathing out through the mouth, even making an audible sigh. And then gently press into your hands ever so slightly to raise the chest so that you can thread now the left hand underneath the right. And just like that side bend, reach beyond where you think you could reach, bringing your left armpit as close to the right knee as possible. And then allowing yourself to come back down towards your child's pose. And then once you come into that thread the needle version of child's pose, maybe you can even nudge the left knee out a little bit if it feels okay in your body, increasing that pull in the inner line of the left leg. And then settle in here. Breathe in and feel the movement and freedom in the inhale. And then as you exhale, feel the twisting and the churning to eliminate. Eliminate any self-judgment. Eliminate any anxiety. And pause here. Notice how it feels. Meeting yourself exactly where you are. Asking yourself, what do I need to make this posture sustainable for 5 more breaths? If your body starts to fidget, come back to a place in your body where you feel supported. And then from that place of support, feel that sense of support radiate out to the rest of the body. And then gently press into the right hand so that you can engage the abdominals and the spine to pull the left hand out. And we'll come right into the counter pose of walking the hands all the way across to the left side. Walking as far as you can to the left And then maybe even a little further, turning the trunk over the left knee. Settling into the side bend opening of the right side of the body now. Letting the hips drop back towards the heels. Yeah. And letting the head be heavy, letting go of the thoughts. Maybe taking the third eye and even massaging it onto the earth. Rocking the head side to side. Soothing the mind's eye. Soothing that thinking brain. Nurturing it and rocking it. And then breathe into the right side body. Feeling the breath permeate the lungs. Feeling the space on the right side of the rib cage, through the right armpit, the right lungs. Creating a sense of expansiveness, of openness. Take 3 more breaths. And then begin to press into the left hand just to engage the belly ever so slightly to lift the trunk so that you can thread the right hand now underneath the left. Try to pull the right armpit as close as you can towards the left knee. Bringing just a little bit more into that twist than you think you might go. And the left arm can then still reach long as the right shoulder turns underneath. And then maybe that right knee nudges out ever so slightly to increase that pull on the inside line of the right leg, getting at all of the yin meridians of the body. And then ask yourself, how can I make myself 10% more comfortable? What do I need right now in this present moment to sustain this with ease? To meet my edge without passing by, without striving to go beyond, or fighting, or reverting, or creating more internal suffering for myself. And then when you're ready, press the left hand into the floor. Engage the low belly to lift the right hand out. And then make your way back towards center. As you come back towards center, you'll want to use your hands to pull the knees towards midline. And then maybe sit yourself back towards a narrow child's pose, and the hands come behind you. And just reset there for a moment. Coming into the seed shape. This place of support. This place of ease. Resetting, letting go of the ripples of that flow. Coming back to equilibrium. And we'll get ready to begin again. This time we'll be moving now into more of the pelvis and the hips. Moving from spinal movement and symmetrical movement into asymmetrical movement of the hips and pelvis, which is essential for our walking and moving through this world. So bring the hands underneath the shoulders and then press up towards hands and knees from here. Keep your blanket right where it is. This is nice to have a little extra knee support as well. So from here, I'll have you step the right foot forward to the right corner of your mat, outside of your hands. And then once you arrive there, lift the back toes and press the heel away on the back leg, so that when you settle back down onto the back leg, you land above the kneecap. And if you have any difficulty placing pressure on the knee, you can keep the knee lifted, or what you can do is you can bolster this up a little bit more so that the knee is actually floating. And then let the back knee drop, let the foot uncurl, and then let the hips be heavy. The foot might turn out to the side and walk out to the side a little bit more in the front so that you're in a wider stance. And we'll hold this for about 3 minutes. So you can stay on your hands. You can come towards your elbows. If you have a prop or a block or support, it's really nice here to bring the surface up to meet you. And if you need any suggestion, you can always turn on your mic and ask me a question or let me know. I also really love to let my head be supported here, just like in child's pose, and give a little massage to my third eye. And now we hold and let gravity do the work. The main drivers in yin are gravity and time. It takes about 90 seconds for the myofascial unwinding to begin in the body. And that's why we ask you to come to that edge and then to hold and to observe and see what happens without pushing past that edge. Let it gently evolve. And when the mind wanders, start to get that discursive mind or thinking mind, come back to the sensation again of the body on the earth. Feel the hands supported. Feel the front foot as it meets the earth. And see if you can lean into the ground as support. How can you use the support that you already have to allow you to stay? If you're feeling stuck, bring your awareness back to the breath. And notice how the breath gives a sense of freedom, a sense of mobility, a sense of fluidity or ease. Using the opposite of what you're sensing. Again, if you're feeling stuck, adding some fluidity. If you're feeling fidgety, feel the ground. Meet yourself right where you are so that you can give yourself exactly what you need. Take 3 more breaths this time as you exhale. Open the mouth. Really let that breath go. If you practice yoga, you'll know that as Simpasana breath or lion's breath. Really let it out. You can even stick your tongue out. And then very slowly start to lift the back hip. Maybe for a moment, shift the hips back. Let the front leg come long to feel a little counter pose here. A modified half split or Ardha Hanumanasana variation. And then take the right leg back to meet the left. Reset for one moment in child's pose. Allowing the body time to rebound. Allowing for integration of the sensations so that the nervous system can integrate the proprioceptive information it received from the joints so that we can then go from the mat into the world and integrate that mobility. And then as you're ready, hands come underneath the shoulders, bringing you back towards hands and knees, making your way to the other side. Taking your left leg up to the left corner of your mat, to the outside of the left hand. Once you arrive, lift the back knee momentarily so that you can press back through the heel and re-land above the kneecap. And then letting this pose evolve, coming to that first barrier, noting where the sensation arrives, noticing how you're meeting yourself. The first tenet of yoga is to do no harm. We call that ahimsa. So by meeting yourself right where you are in this moment and asking yourself, what do I need right now? We can do no harm. We can prevent injury. We can be our teachers to give ourselves exactly what we need. And then as this side evolves, maybe you come towards your elbows or to blocks, or the head is supported on a prop. And notice what arises in the emotions as you're stretched to the edge. Oftentimes, as we butt up against an edge, we'll find that we'll contract or retract. We'll avoid or have aversion to. So notice how you're meeting yourself in this edge and see if you can adjust that internal disposition, that internal approach, so that you can meet yourself with ease, with inquiry, and ask yourself without judging, what do I need right now in this moment? To let go, to create space. To feel grounded. Take 3 more breaths here. Exhaling through the mouth. Letting go fully and completely. Letting the effort of gravity be greater than any muscular effort or any mental effort. Take 2 more breaths. And then bring your hands back towards the earth. Push the trunk up first. Shift the hips back. Maybe pausing in that half split again. Shaking the head no. And then coming back to child's pose. Allowing the body to integrate that experience. I prefer narrow child's pose here. The hands can be overhead or by the sides, whatever feels like the most supportive position for you right now. And then once the sensations, once the thoughts, once the emotions have subsided, slowly walk yourself up to kneeling. Shift your hips to the side. Let your knees come in front of you. And we'll set up for our last sitting posture. Again, maybe you come to a little cushion. We're going to do a seated forward fold. So having the hips elevated here is helpful. If you tend to have any knee problems and need some support behind the knees, having the blanket rolled up behind the knees is also really useful. This will also take a little strain off the back. And be careful here, especially if you have any low back things going on, about forcing forward. So just like our very first pose, allow yourself to just cascade forward, letting the head roll off the spine, letting the shoulders roll forward, letting the chest bone collapse, letting the belly become deep. Allow yourself to melt into this forward fold. Let the head go, shake the head no, allowing the head to surrender to the heart, coming out of the thinking mind and moving into the feeling, moving into the sensing of the physical body. As you arrive here, let the shoulder blades drape apart from one another, opening up that space behind the heart. Send the breath to the back door of the heart in that space between the shoulder blades. As you turn inward into this cocoon, take an internal glimpse at the internal state of the body. Letting the outside stimulation fall away and starting to hone those internal listening skills. Noticing what's arising in the feelings of the body, those physical or somatic sensations. Noticing what's arising in the emotions or that heart space. Space at the bottom of the heart or the back door of the heart. And meeting what's arising, welcoming whatever is coming up. Then letting go of the thoughts of the thinking mind. As the head drops and surrenders to the body and to the heart. Take 3 more full letting go breaths here. And then as you're ready, slowly stack the spine back up, letting the head be the last thing to rise, letting the hands help return you to upright. And then bend the knees. Maybe they rock side to side, or again, maybe you give them a hug, listening to what your body's asking for right now as we make our way back onto our backs. The bolster or a pillow or a blanket can stay right here, but if you would like to cover yourself, I would take the blanket out and replace it with something else. And then gently make your way down to your back, supporting your spine as you go. And we'll do one more thing once we arrive there. We'll just hug the knees into the chest. Think about pressing the knees down towards the earth as you're here. Instead of pulling them upward, what happens if you just push them straight downward? Get a lengthening in the low back and try to press the sacrum into the floor, letting the whole back rest on the floor. As you pull the knees into the belly and empty that space in the belly, can you let go of any last things, any muscular efforting, any emotional holdings that might still be there as you prepare for Shavasana, our final resting pose. So as you're ready, the legs can come out and be supported either on a blanket or a pillow, a foam roller or a bolster, whatever you have. Then you may cover yourself up with a blanket. You may support the head just a little bit so that the forehead's just slightly higher than the chin. And allow yourself to let go completely. Let go now of the physical sensations of the body. Let yourself be completely supported by the earth beneath you. Letting gravity now be your friend. And the earth be your support so that you can ease into rest. Let the body breathe itself. Letting go of any breath control. And let go of any clinging or attachment to the changing states of mind. Letting your thoughts come and then letting them flow away. They'll continue to arise. The mind is meant to make thoughts. But can you let them go without attaching yourself to them? So that you can let the body, the breath, and the mind melt into ease. allow yourself to rest in the sense of spaciousness and timelessness. Being with and being the sense of awareness. And allow yourself to rest here as long as you like. If you're staying for the yoga nidra that follows, you can let yourself stay here and rest until I'm ready to begin. Everyone is welcome to stay. And if you need to leave at 7:30, allow yourself to begin to reawaken. Letting the breath fill the body. Reconnecting to the internal sense of vitality. That brings with it movement. Allowing the fingers to wiggle. Toes to wiggle. Bringing movement back into this physical realm. Take whatever time you need to rotate onto your side. And again, if you're staying for yoga nidra, for eye rest, feel free to allow yourself just to be. Resting in the space, being absorbed into the spaciousness and timelessness. And if you're transitioning out, gently push yourself up to sit. Completing the practice where we began. Feeling the full cycle of its creation, of sustaining it, and then allowing it to dissolve. And then bring your hands to your heart. Coming back to that intention you set for yourself. Coming back to that intention as fully realized, as fully present with you as you are right now. And taking that sense of completeness, of that fullness that's always there and always accessible with you from the mat into this world. from this place of completeness in me. I acknowledge and honor that in you. If you're transitioning out, thank you. Namaste.